Big up, still, bro.
Another defeat at home, another defeat to Chelsea. What went wrong today?
Good evening. Hello, Brian, Ben, big up the chat, everyone as always. What went wrong today? What went right? I mean, I didn't go to the game, and I knew we weren't going to win this, guys. I knew we weren't going to win because, one, we always struggled against Chelsea, and two, just the way we've been playing for the past 3-4 weeks, you can see where it's all heading. And before we played Monaco, we had 10 games coming up. So Monaco, then it was I didn't play after Monaco. Was it Aston Villa?
Yeah.
Villa. Then we had I think Everton, then Newcastle, and now this game. And I said this 10-game run, if I'm honest about it, we're only going to win 2 games at the most. And I think I'm going to be right. And the reason I said it is because the way we're playing, it's not sustainable. And when I look at today's game, it begins with the Newcastle game. I came on after the Newcastle game and I said, I disagree with Frank resting so many players. You've got to go for the cup. This is the only cup we can win. But the counter argument is, but we've got to rest players because we've got Chelsea. Okay. Well, that didn't work, did it? Because we rested players for the Chelsea game and we lost. But we didn't just lose. We were awful, guys. We were absolutely woeful today. I would encourage every Spurs fan who watches this channel who criticised me last game for saying that I would sell Richarlison, Johnson, Odegaard, Tell, Gray. I would sell them all because they're not good enough. I would challenge all those fans to come on the show now and defend those players. Defend to me how they're good enough for Tottenham Hotspur. It's easy to... Yeah.
No, I get what you're saying, and I agree with you. These players are not good enough. I do agree.
They're not good enough, mate.
No, I agree with you. I totally agree with you. But today, what could they have done? Because they didn't even get the ball. Like, the tactics today was just horrific.
Yeah, I was going to come on to Frank, but I just wanted to let those fans know because they're very confident criticising me when I say players aren't good at the club. You know, you guys let everyone come on and chat. So I encourage them, come on and have your say. I'd like to hear what you think is good about those players because they're rubbish. Tactics-wise, I think what is happening with Spurs, and I said it on the Spurs 5 channel a couple of weeks ago, our passage of play is too repetitive. We play out from the back when we shouldn't. So today... listen, we've got to compliment Chelsea. I don't want to, but I'm going to because it's honest. Their pressing game was really good. Yep. They pressed us extremely well and effectively. So stop trying to pass it. Play it over the top. Bypass their press. But we kept trying to play out from the back. And even when we were under pressure, the way we were playing at the back, it was like handball. They forced us into errors. They forced us into mistakes. And it's where their goal came from. So playing out from the back when under pressure... I don't think it's a good thing to do unless you've got outstanding players where they can play one-touch football and quickly and zip it around the press, which we don't. So instead of trying to play out from the back, and by the way, that was coached. They were told to do that because you can see they're doing what they practiced. Mm-hmm. The tactic has to change. When a team is good at pressing, you've got to play over them, not through them, because you saw what happens today when we try and do that. The second thing is, we're very dependent on wing play, and I think we need to mix it up and tactically change the shape so that we can play more through the middle of the pitch and not just the wide areas. And that means a tactical change in order to do that. We might not have the players to pull it off, but I think we should at least give it a go because the constant obsession with playing down the flanks, it doesn't work for us, guys. It doesn't work for us. And do you know, I've got to give some compliments to Vicario because even I've criticised him about his catching of the ball and sometimes his parrying. Yet again, he was outstanding today. Yep. The saves he made, it could have been 4-5-0. So as much as it wasn't good today, we've got to praise Vicario, guys, because he got a lot of stick from us Spurs fans. And I thought he was brilliant again today, despite the result.
Yeah, if it wasn't for him, could have easily been 3, 4, 5. Take your pick, no matter what, 100%. And also another player I think deserves some praise is Romero when he came on. I think those two are the only ones probably that come out with any credit in this game. Did you see the clip with Spence and Van der Ven and Thomas Frank after the game?
No. Tell me though. Tell me.
So Frank is kind of on the sideline or just onto the pitch, and Spence and Van der Ven are walking together, complaining with each other, and kind of Frank goes over to them and he's kind of like pointing his finger at Spence, must have been telling him off or something, and both of them just completely blank him and walk off the pitch. It was not a good look.
Look, we've seen this before with previous managers, where there's a conflict or a disagreement, or we've seen maybe the fans having a tear up with the manager. We've seen this before with many managers. The reason it's happening is because the home form is really poor. And when the performances are bad, players are going to be frustrated, fans are going to be frustrated, and it's almost releasing the frustration, it's releasing the anger. What has to happen is Frank just needs to adapt the team when we're at home, so we're a bit more risk-taking. It doesn't feel like the shackles are tied on as much, and he's got to be given time to suss it out. Okay, I've not come on here to bash Frank. Listen, I think Frank's making mistakes, and I think Frank is doing things that don't make sense to me. But I'm not going to have a go at him because I really believe he needs a season to properly suss it out. Who's who? What's what? What's this squad really like? Today, the manager would have learned, when the shit hits the fan in a London derby, what players can I look at and say they're going to try and raise the team, or they can still play. He also needs to look at himself and say, what could I have done differently maybe? But these things take time. So I'm sure that little bust up will get sorted out. If
I've just sent it to you, by the way, Stel. I just sent it to your phone if you want to have a quick look.
All right, Stel, also, whilst you're having a look at that, as you said about taking the shackles off, where do you see those changes come that will take the shackles off of Spurs? I think that midfield needs a complete rejig, or go to 3 at the back and have Destiny and Porro flying through. Where do you see it as the rejig to take the shackles off comes from?
So when the starting lineup was announced, one of the guys that I sit with at the stadium, he messaged me and he said to me, why are we playing so many midfielders in this system? It's as if we're playing not to lose. So I think, I'm just looking at the video now, I see what you mean. Yeah, that's not a good look, no. Okay. It almost feels like, Brian, we are so scared of losing that we're playing not to lose rather than saying, let's go for the win. And I think when you're at home and you've got home court advantage and you've got all the fans behind you and you've got a bit of discontent with the style of play, just be a bit more braver, be a bit more risky. Like, for example, I don't see the harm of playing 2 in the 10. For example, this is just one example. I'm not saying do this, but just to give you an example. You could go to a back 3 with 2 fullbacks, 1 holding mid, 2 number 10s, and then 2 up top. You could be a bit more courageous, a bit more adventurous. Now, it might not work. The players might still let us down, but at least we're giving it a go.
Yeah.
And I think the way we set up at home too often is a bit too pragmatic, and I don't think we need to do that. When we go away to Everton, when we go away to Man City, when we drew with Brighton, even if we go to PSG and we set up like that, I've got no complaints, because going away from home is hard no matter who you play. And I totally understand when you're away from home, the home team always have the advantage. But when we're at home at our stadium on a London derby day, and you've got 62,000 fans behind you, go for it, man. You don't have to be and go for it. Everyone on the halfway line, right? Go for it. but you can be a bit more adventurous. And I think we're still, the shackles are still tied. Do you know what, Brian? Last game when I called in, there was a guy that came on, I think, after me or after Ariane, I can't remember actually. One of the guys called in and he said, no, it was the Spurs drummer. Ben and Sim interviewed the Spurs drummer the other day. He said something, and I said to myself, yes, spot on. He said, I love Frank, but Frank's doing things that Frank doesn't do. And I think that's where we're at. I think he got it spot on. Frank is doing things that he didn't do when he was at Brentford. He was a bit more adventurous at Brentford. Pragmatic, but a bit more adventurous. Now, some will say, oh, because he had the players to do it. Well, you had two really good players, maybe three, but we've got a few good players in the attacking role. Kudus is a very good attacking player. I think Bergvall can be a good attacking player. I don't see why we can't give Dane Scarlett a chance up front. And I said it last time, these strikers aren't good enough. They're just simply not good enough at this football club. You might as well give Scarlett a chance until Solanke's back. I also think that it's really difficult for us to be more effective when we're always going to play down the wings, because teams will suss us out. Like Eddie Howe, for example, who would analyse his opposition and set up to nullify them. He would have looked at Spurs and said, do you know what? I don't mind letting Spurs cross the ball into the box because I don't want them to win corners, or I don't. Sorry, beg your pardon. He will stop Spurs from putting balls in the box because that's how we play. He will say, I don't mind you coming inside. As long as you don't win the corner and you want to go down the middle, I don't mind that because you're set up to go down the flanks. So he might allow players to cut on the inside and not just put balls into the box. So I think maybe we've been sussed out a little bit as well. So we need to adapt. And this is what Frank was known for, wasn't he? Like being really good at adapting, really good at mixing it up. We're just not seeing it. And I think there comes a point where, not me, but definitely I know with fans, they're going to start holding it against him. And they're going to say, you're rigid, you're stubborn, you're not that guy. This isn't Brentford. That's what you're going to start hearing a lot more of if the home form doesn't pick up. Because we didn't just lose today. They dominated us, guys. They absolutely dominated us.
We didn't even turn up still. We didn't turn up today, period.
And Brian, it will be the manager that gets the blame because all the previous managers got the blame when this happened. Yep. The only thing I'll say to Spurs fans is, yeah, look, it isn't that great. Our league position is still good. How long will that last with the games coming up? And the Champions League is a bit of a concern. We've gone out of a cup. So there's the signs there that this might unravel quick. But what are we going to do? Change a manager? We've got to stick with him for a year and give him a chance to understand what's going on, show us that he can adapt, and hopefully, fingers crossed, over to you, Enoch, bring in some quality players that can play in the front three, that can help the attacking mids. And then, Frank, it's over to you because you've got the players now. So that's where I'm at with it. But I do think if the performances at home don't change, people have paid a lot of money for those season tickets. It can't be we win on the road and we lose at home and we're rubbish at home. Fans will turn. You know what this fan base is like, Brian?
Yeah.
Right? We can go from, we've got the best manager to get him out in the space of 5 seconds? We're like that.
As long as that still, as long as 5 seconds.
Honestly, it's difficult because the performances are rubbish. That's what it is. I think if the performances were better, we can swallow a loss. Mm-hmm. All right, we lost to Chelsea. Their manager's been there a couple of years. He spent a lot more money building his squad than what Frank has. Okay, we lost 1-0, but you know what? We were good, man. We weren't. It's a bit like the Newcastle game. We lost, but we were kind of in that game. It wasn't as painful as what it could have been.
You need something to hold on to still. You need something, and there's just nothing after that performance. That's the problem.
Yeah. I mean, look, Ben, you're spot on. We as fans need something, and I think it impacts the atmosphere, because when you go 1-0 down and you're playing rubbish, it's very difficult to get behind it. It's very difficult to get up and sing and chant, and because the players aren't giving you anything. The team's not giving you anything. It's a difficult thing for a human being to really get behind something that on the eye, Jesus Christ, we're going to get battered here. You know, we're getting absolutely torn. So, look, Spurs fans, just give the manager a chance and appreciate that we have got some awful attackers at this club. They're indefensible. They really are shambolic. But at the same time, Frank, you're the manager. You knew what you were walking into. You've got to adapt it now. You've got to change this up at home, because the fans, they just won't tolerate it. They're going to switch. So let's see where we go with it. You know, let's see. I think Copenhagen next. We should beat Copenhagen, and then Man United is a concern, but they can be got at. You know, if we're attacking, we can get into Man United. They concede goals. They conceded 2 at their last home game against Brighton. They conceded 2 today against Nottingham Forest. So they do concede goals, but we've got to go at them. We can't be pragmatic. But
100%.
we can't be Ange Postecoglou attacking, because Man United score goals as well. They've scored 6 in the last 2. So Man United can be beaten, but he's got to adapt it, in my opinion. He's got to change it up a little bit.
Frank was asked about the whole Van de Ven and Spence thing, and he said, I understand why you asked the question, but that's only one of the small issues.
Do you know what? Before I came on, I could hear you talking, saying Groundhog Day, and I'm beginning to think it is Groundhog Day, isn't it?
The fact that he said that that's a small issue, and it looked pretty big. God knows what.
You're always going to downplay it in the press, though, aren't you?
Yeah, but the fact that you say that's a small issue,
it's an issue. It's a problem.
Yeah, if that's what they're saying is a small issue, God knows what's going on behind the scenes, and maybe a big issue.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you know what? I was. Do you know why I give Frank 1 year? Should I tell you my thinking why he deserves a season? It's because in the summer, he needs to walk into that boardroom, sit down with Vinay, Charrington, Paratici, Lange, and say, you hired me for a reason. Now we do it my way. These are the players we need. These are the caliber of players we need. Those players you've got to get rid of. Those players you've got to keep them. And those players, do what you want. Now, if you don't want to do that, why did you hire me? Listen to me, and let's take this club forward. He can only do that in the summer. He can only have that conversation in the summer. If he doesn't have that conversation, he's going to be another yes man. He's going to be just like all the other managers, and he'll be gone in a year's time. If he has that conversation and they listen, and we will know by the transfer window, guys. That transfer window that's coming up in the summer, we will know what's what. And then we can really judge what Frank is about. We can truly say, right, I know what this manager can do. But we're going to have to wait a year for that conversation to happen, and I hope Frank has got the balls to show them who the governor really is. Because Conte did it. Conte had that chat, and then he ended up blowing up the whole place because clearly he never got what he wanted. I think that's why Frank needs a season. He needs a season to understand, you're at Tottenham. This club does things differently. This club has different expectations. This club has got very unrealistic thinking and very realistic thinking. He needs a year to suss out what kind of a club he's signed up to, and then to go into that boardroom and have a man-to-man conversation. That's why I give Frank a year, to see whether or not he's got it in him to have that chat. Because if he doesn't have it, I know how this ends. I've seen it with all the other previous managers.
Still, let me just chuck something else out with there. This time as well, you mentioned about Frank having that conversation.
Yeah.
This time with Paratici, will Paratici have more freedom to bring in the players that he wants? Because if any Spurs fan here will tell me now that if Paratici was still at Juventus, he would have brought Galini, Emerson Royale, Brian Hill to this football club. then I will call you a liar. They were, let's see if they turn out good. Let's have a potential over quality. So I think Paratici will see as well with Enoch. Not only has Frank got to have those words, is Paratici going to be able to say, right, this is the player you need, not the cheaper version, not the younger version, but this player. So I think there's a big talk with Frank, and I think Paratici needs to be able to do what he does and not be pulled back into certain budgets that he's had to.
Can I just clarify that you don't rate the mighty Emerson Royale?
I don't, and certainly Galini,
we had Barry on here before. I watched what you say.
And certainly Brian Hill, and we can run the list of them, can't we?
Yeah,
hopefully Paratici will have the budget and say, right, you've got this for one or two players of quality rather than 3, 4, 5 of utter drivel.
The answer, Brian, is we won't know until the summer.
Yep.
Right. I think some fans are going to judge it on January. I think we all know January we might sign one really good player and then some random 6-month stop gaps, whatever we call them.
A bunch of long gaps.
Long gaps, stop gap, mid gap, mind the gap. You know, we might sign another 16-year-old, and who knows, right? I just hope we sign either a striker or a left winger in January. But in the summer, we won't know until it comes and we see what signings come through the door. If we sign Paulinia's and Mohamed Kudus's, we know Paratici's been allowed to do his job, and we know that Frank has had that conversation. If we don't get those kind of signings and we get a bit of Mateus Tell in there, a contract extension for Ben Davies whacked in, then we know it's the same old, same old. We know where it will end up. So for me, I'm giving Frank a year to see what happens in the summer, because then I'll know exactly what kind of manager we've got and whether or not Levy leaving was the answer or whether Enoch have to go. And it was Enoch all along. So I can't answer that until the summer, guys. And it's frustrating because we're going to have to go for a very up and down season before we get to that moment. And that's the truth of it, Brian. Now, I think, you know, how many times have we gone Enoch out, Levy out, only for them to pull out something out their backside to buy a bit more time? We're going to have to be very patient and wait to the summer. And that's when we will know what's what with this football club, whether they're genuinely going to take us forward or whether they've just lied to us again and it was all the smoke. You know, what would you call it? Smokes and mirrors? Smoke screen and mirrors?
Smoke screens, yeah. Smokes and mirrors, whatever you want to call it. But one last question still, because all the players that you just mentioned, I did notice that you missed out a certain Xavi Simons from that list, who's been pretty horrific since he's joined. So what's your opinion on him?
So the reason I didn't mention him is because Richarlison, Odobert, Tell, all the others I mentioned, I've never seen them be really good. Like, I've never seen them wow me, ever. Xavi Simons was a very, very good player in Germany, like really good. And he was a good player on international duty. I know what kind of player he is. However, having said that, if he keeps putting in stinkers like this, we're going to end up having wasted £50 million on another dud. Because today he showed good moments and then he just got bullied off the ball or he misplaced the pot. And you're right. What is the cutoff point for you and Brian? Okay, what is the cutoff point for you guys to where you say enough's enough?
With what?
This player's a dud. How many more performances like that do you tolerate before you say, before you stop saying, be patient, give it time? Because it's still his early doors, but he's been given a lot of minutes now and he's not shown us anything really.
Yeah.
What's the cutoff point for you?
Yeah, it's an interesting question about what the cutoff point is. I don't really know, but I'm willing to give him time because I know he's a top quality player. I know he's got top quality talent. But I'm starting to think, is this guy actually cut out for the Premier League? Because he doesn't look like he's physically ready for the challenge. Like, he gets physically overrun. In every game that I've seen, he gets pushed off the ball way too easily. I'm not denying the talent that he has as a football player. I'm just not sure if he's got the physicality to play in this league.
I'll add with that. I think that can be easily addressed with getting in the gym and working on your physique. Like I said, we've had players that have been small in stature and weight, and they've been able to get the job done. What I think, and you mentioned it earlier, and I think it's the answer as well, at home, is going back to a back three, having Destiny flying through, Porro or Spence playing through, and I think we need another creator alongside him. If we've got these players that can create and give these moments of genius, magic, whatever you want to do, and change the game, we've got to make sure we can get the ball to them. And at the moment, we just can't get the ball to him. And when we do, like you said, there's a couple of brilliant flashes from him. Look at the performance he put in against Brighton. When he came off the bench, he made a big impact into that. And I think we need to find a midfield. Maybe it is Paulinho or Bentancur, and then a Xavi and a Bergvall in the centre, or a Xavi and a someone. A Xavi and a Kudus even, if it needs to be. So
a Kulusevski.
Yeah.
See, I wouldn't mind if we went to a back three, and then you had Udogie and Porro as your attacking fullbacks, Bentancur and Paulinho in the 6-8 pivot, protecting the back three, and then two attacking mids of Xavi. Kudus comes across, and just because they play in the 10, it doesn't mean they can't drift out wide, guys.
Yeah.
Just because you play in the 10, it doesn't mean you just stay there.
Yeah.
No, you move with the flow of the game. So he can still go out wide, but he'd be more central, and then one up top. I wouldn't mind seeing that, because at RB Leipzig, Xavi Simons played in a 4-2-2-2. That's the system he played in, and it worked for him. I think the way we're set up is very reliant on wing play, and it doesn't really help the attacking mids. And I don't think the system we play, I don't think it helps Xavi Simons. That doesn't excuse the fact that he gets bullied off the ball, okay? Because Ben's right on that. He does get bullied off the ball. But I do remember in the early stages of... Maddison, he's not exactly the most physical player. He doesn't get bullied.
Yeah.
So I just think that's just... we just need to be a bit more patient for him to adapt to the pace and physicality of the game in the UK. Because he does get stuck in. I do think he gets stuck in. But I get what Ben's saying. But to get the best out of Simons, I think we need to be more attacking and going to 2 in the 10 with Kudus and him. But that means going to a back three and the wing play coming from Udogie and Porro or Spence. So,
all right.
That might get the best out of Porro.
Sorry, Porro. Yeah,
that might even get the best out of Porro, because he was not his best today for sure.
Yeah, because we know Porro's actually a lot better when he's further up the pitch. So, again, these are things the manager needs to look at, and he needs to adapt it. I think if Frank doesn't adapt it in the next month worth of games, I think he's going to get himself into some difficult.
100%.
He's going to get himself into a lot of heat with the fan base. I do.
100%.
I think it's coming, but hopefully he does what he did at Brighton. He adapts it and he tries something different. And then even if it doesn't work, at least we can say 1 minute, Frank did change it though. He genuinely tried to do something a bit different here, and then we can put it back on the players. So. Time will tell. Unfortunately for us, we don't have the easiest of runs coming up to take a bit of give us a bit of breathing space.
Don't worry, Stan. It's all changing at the Emirates. We're going to the Emirates for 3 points, mate. Maybe 3 shots. Maybe that's what we got to go for. But
listen, if he goes to the Emirates and gets the result, he gets a massive what's the word? It's almost like he gets a free pass for the rest of the year. Imagine, right? Okay, I'm getting carried away, but let's get carried away. That's what we do. Imagine we beat Arsenal away and Arsenal at home, and that's the reason they don't win the league. Fucking great.
Oh,
I'd love it.
Bill, if he and I is talking about those statues, maybe we'll have to build Frank a statue.
I'll be all for it.
Stel, thanks for coming on today, mate.
Yeah. Guys, listen, look after yourselves. Safe journey home, everyone. And let's just try and stick with Frank, guys. Let's give him a chance to change it up a bit and, you know, just adapt it a bit. Let's not be all Frank out and just rubbish. Just a bit of a chill pill.
Still, I'll bell you tomorrow. We'll try and work out meeting up ASAP.
Yeah. We'll speak.
All right, bro. No.
All right,
All
guys.
good, bro.
Take care.
All good. Like Xavi.
See you later, mate.
See you later, bro.
See you later, guys. See you later.